Hello fellow makers, I'm Heather here at the Maker Jungle, and today we're going to crochet what I call the sunrise square. I've seen this square in a lot of places and decided to go a little Caribbean with the colors. Today I'm using worsted weight yarn and a size H Furls crochet hook. The square is spaced on a 20 double crochet circle, a treble crochet circle, a puff stitch circle, double crochet circle, and then a border of a half double crochet, double crochet, and treble crochet to make the square. We're going to begin this project with the magic circle. If this is a technique that you haven't used yet, you can certainly use a 6 chain and then connect the chain together to make a circle. For me, it's just easier to put 20 double crochets into a magic circle than it is to put it into a chain circle. Once you get your magic circle stabilized, you're going to chain 1, 2, and 3, and that's going to be your turning chain, and that's going to be your first stitch, and this is your second, so this is your second double crochet, and then we'll go on to 3, you're going to do this until you have a count of 20. Now that you've got 20 counts, go back and double check and make sure that you have 20 all the way around the circle, because if you don't have 20, it's going to mess up the entire square. Now just pull your yarn out a little bit and cinch up your circle. I use my hook just to gauge the size of the circle, so that way the circles are the same on each of the squares that I make. I'm making a blanket and it has 63 squares in it, so I want to make sure that they're all the same. Now that we have the circle all cinched up, we're going to slip stitch into that first turn-in chain, and then we're going to chain 4 for the turn-in chain for our next circle. Now we're going to yarn over twice for a treble crochet into our first stitch. Make sure that you go into the correct one, or you're going to be off when you get to the end. Sometimes that first stitch can hide just a little bit. It can be a little bit tricky. Once you finish that first treble crochet, you're going to chain stitch. That's going to give us space to do our puff stitch on our next circle. So that chain stitch is very important, or the circle is going to be too crowded and the square will bow. We're going to do this same treble crochet, 1 chain, until we get to the count of 20 at the end. Now that you're at the end of this round, go back and count the posts of your treble crochet and make sure that you have 20 before we go to the next round. Now we're ready to go in and we're going to slip stitch the new color in for the next round. This is where we're going to use a weaver's knot. If you've never used this, I have a video on how to do this. It's basically a slip stitch over with the new color onto the old color, and then you pull it and pop it into place, and it creates a secure knot so that you don't have to weave in lots of terrible ends. You can actually snip it right where you want to. Don't place the knot too close to the piece. You want to give it just a little bit of room so that way you can hide the knot inside the puff stitch. Now you're going to come in and you're going to slip stitch the new color into the piece. And once you pull your slip stitch through, you're going to chain 2. And when you do this, take the tails of both the new and the old yarn and place them to the left so that the new yarn hides the tails against the piece. Now for this puff stitch, we're going to yarn over, pull 1, yarn over, pull 2, yarn over, pull 3, yarn over, pull 4, and then you're going to pull the crochet through all of the yarn that's on your hook. Chain stitch to secure it, and then chain stitch to create a space for the next square. Now you can see where my tail is coming through a little bit from where we did our weaver's knot, and you can snip it. As long as you don't snip it right at the knot, it'll stay secure. Yarn over, pull, crochet, chain, and chain again. We're going to continue this 4 count puff stitch all the way across through all 20 spaces. And I start the count at the pull and not the yarn over, so that way I don't get confused. And when you're pulling through your crochet, try to keep your hook so that it's facing, I don't know, what I consider down, so that way it pulls through just a tad bit easier. And this is what I mean by having it go straight down. You may have to twist it just a little bit, but usually down is better. Now that we're at the end of our 20 count, you can see that it's starting to cup up a little bit, but once we come back in on our next round with our double crochet, everything will be perfectly flat. Now we're ready to change our colors to go in for our next round, and we're going to do it just the same way that we did before. We're going to turn it over and use our weaver's knot to add our new color. Now we're going to slip stitch our new color into our previous round. This is what I mean by keeping your old and your new yarn to the left, so that when we do our 3 chain turning chain and do our double crochets into this space, it's going to help hide that knot. So this is going to be our turning chain, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to double crochet into the space in between the 2 puff stitches. If you've ever done a granny square, this round is very similar. We're going to double crochet 3 times into the spaces in between the puff stitches all the way around. And make sure these double crochets don't go in between the puff stitch and its turning chain and the space in between the puff stitches. That first stitch has an odd little turning chain in it that can be easily confused. So continue your 3 double crochets into each space in between the puff stitches. They're really easy to identify once you get past the first stitch. So now that we've got 20 all the way around, you can see how it's turning out nice and flat. Yay! So now we're going to slip stitch our border color. We're going to use the weaver knot just like we did before. I actually learned this technique in my jewelry making for bead weaving and bead embroidery, and then the next project that I picked up in crochet and had to change the colors, I decided I would try it, and I've been absolutely obsessed with it since then. So here we're going to chain stitch 2, and that's going to be our turning chain, and then we're going to half double back into that same space twice. So our turning chain is 1, and then half double 1 and 2. So this is the shorter side, and so now we're going to raise the height a little bit, and we're going to double crochet 3 times into this space. So now we're going to move into our corner, and we're going to raise the height again, and we're going to do 3 treble crochets, 2 chain, and 3 treble crochets into the same space. Now we're going to start on our side with 3 double crochets into the next space. Now for our next space, we're going to lower the height and we're going to do a half double into this space. And do this 3 times. And then we're going to repeat the same stitch, half double 3 times in the next space. Now we're going to raise the height and we're going to double crochet 3 times into the next space. Now in the next space, we're going to repeat this corner pattern into this space, which is the 3 double crochets, 2 chains, 3 double crochets. Now moving on to the next side, we're going to do 3 double crochets, 3 half doubles, 3 half doubles, and 3 doubles along this side. Now we're going to repeat our corner pattern again, 3 double crochets, 2 chain stitch, and 3 double crochets. Moving on to the next side, we're going to do 3 double crochets, 3 half doubles, 3 half doubles, and 3 doubles. here's our last corner, 3 treble crochets, 2 chains, and 3 trebles. Now we're going to finish off this side that we started. We're going to do 3 double crochets into this space. 2, 3, and then we're going to do 3 half doubles into this last space. 1, 2, and 3. And to finish it off, we're going to come into the top of the chain stitch and slip stitch, and then snip it off, and there you go. Tug on it a little bit, make sure your corners are nice and straight, and there's your little sunrise. So you can turn it over and you can snip where you've added the colors for your weaver's knot, and then just weave in the blue and the white, and you are done. Thank you for following along today. I had a lot of fun doing this square. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't forget all our videos that are coming up. Good to see you. Bye.